Well, hello, I'm Doug Apple, back with another special interview for you today. How are you feeling about your family budget? How are you feeling about the economy in general? Sometimes we say, well, elections matter. We're going to do a quick little overview of the economy with Mike Sharman. He's the legal counsel for Share Healthcare, and we'll be talking about how Share Healthcare might be the right answer for you and your family to save money. But we're going to talk a little bit about the economy I'm looking right now at this article that was in the Tallahassee Democrat, and the headline says, Big Lots to close 35 to 40 stores this year amid doubt that the company can survive. All right, well, that was in their SEC filing. Big Lots talking about their financial struggles. And we have other headlines we're going to talk about. But Mike Sharman, I'm going to turn it over to you. What does Big Lots have to do with me and my wife and other average citizens around here?
Well, yeah, you have a Big Lots down there in Tallahassee, and Big Lots did not identify which stores are going to be closed in that announcement. But more importantly to you and your family I don't even know if we call it the canary in the mine, because I think we're way past the canary now in the mines. But this is a real serious indication, I think, of where the economy is. For those who aren't familiar with Big Lots, it's a large store that typically has gone into where other big brand name stores have been, big department stores. So it fills those large spaces that had opened up because of a prior company's closure, and then they are a liquidator themselves. You know, they buy up the inventory of companies that have closed or are just getting rid of closeouts or things like that. It's a large one. It isn't just selling old books and games and things like that, but it sells furniture also. So for Big Lots to close or begin closing, and it has a lot of stores. It has 1,300 stores. So for them to say 35 to 40 stores, okay, that's not that big a deal. But where that information came from is its SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission filing. And in that filing, the company said there is substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue due to shoppers pulling back on spending due to inflation. So here it is. This is a retailer, but a low-cost retailer that people are still stopping purchasing from because of inflation. Now, people tend to get budget conscious when inflation hits, but we're way past that canary in the mine on inflation, and now the mine's closing. And because inflation has gotten so bad, even the tools that people use to try to fight inflation are on the brink. You know, we don't want to say that Big Lots is going to shut down as a whole, and its inventory being picked up by some other liquidator or group of liquidators, but that's a really bad indicator. The CEO, Bruce Thorne, the CEO of Big Lots, said, "We remain focused on managing through the current economic cycle by controlling the controllables." You know, they're going to try to do what they can do, even though the surrounding economy is not something they can control. They're going to try to shift their inventory, deal with shutting down, stores that aren't doing as well, maybe cutting back on some employees. So we need to generalize that to our own lives and look at, well, what controllables do we have? Now, Doug, you and your family might be already settled. You already have a home. You either have a mortgage at a low interest rate or you've already paid it off, but you have children and grandchildren who are wanting to just start their lives and start building and having a foundation. And we know so many young people who are trying to do that, and they're looking around going, well, how? How is this possible? And another headline said U.S. home prices just hit another all-time high. It's been going up and up and up, beginning with President Obama, and then it's continued throughout. The Trump era changed affordability because the interest rates plummeted. There are people who have mortgage rates in the twos. Many have them in the threes. Well, now it's tapping right up against 7. It's, I think, 6.8 or something right now. Yeah, 6.86 is what this article said. And so that's double or triple the mortgage rates that existed during the Trump administration. And it's the interest rate that makes up the largest part of a home's monthly price, particularly during those first years. So it mentioned that the median home sale price right now is $397,954. Let's just call it $398,000 and wipe out that $46 difference. Round it up there. $398,000 is the median price across the United States, including the places in urban areas where houses will sell for little, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The less pressured areas in small rural pockets that aren't near a metropolis. I mean, this is the average everywhere, the median price everywhere. And this article mentions that's the highest level on record. So how much will a new couple be paying for a home if they're trying to get it? $2,749. And that's after doing their 20% down payment. So what can they do? Well, they can try to control the controllables, as that CEO of Big Lots said. So what's a large controllable? Well, let's kind of look at that price of a mortgage again, $2,749. Okay, the average price for a family of 4 for health insurance is $2,200. So your health insurance is almost the same as a mortgage payment. Your health insurance costs you almost as much as your entire house.
It just sounds crazy.
Yeah, one little item, not one little item, but one item of your household budget is almost as much as the price of your house. And that is crazy, Doug. So with Share Healthcare, we're a ministry. We're a nonprofit. Share Healthcare is a 501c3 nonprofit ministry whose specific ministry is in the area of medical care. We're a Christian organization, so we as Christians share one another's medically necessary medical expenses. So how much would it cost for that family of 4 that would otherwise be paying $2,200 for insurance? Because Share Healthcare is not insurance. We're proudly not insurance. We're not under the regulations of insurance department, and we're not under the constraints and dictates of the Affordable Care Act. So what is the difference then? So that $2,200 that a family of 4 would be paying for health insurance is $349 with Share Healthcare. That's an enormous difference. It brings it back to just being a part of your household budget rather than nearly all of it, or at least nearly equal to your home mortgage. We need to be giving young people hope. There's so many reasons for young people now to be cynical about the economy, about politics, about what the world's going to do next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if we as Christians can't offer hope, then we have nothing to offer. I mean, what is salvation other than hope at its epitome? So can't we offer salvation with a high cost of health care? Can't we offer hope for that? Well, yes, we can, and we do, and that's Share Healthcare. $349 versus $2,200 is pretty big hope.
Yeah, somebody might be sitting out there thinking, well, just let the young people rent.
Renting's not going to be all that much better. Look at the increased prices of rents. Rents always follow the cost of general home ownership. An investor might have bought a home for $80,000, which is now worth $398,000. Well, he's not going to rent it for the $80,000 price. He's going to rent it for that $398,000 price. And then the renter has no commitment in that home other than the 1-year lease they signed. And they aren't building anything. For those who are able to buy a home in the early stages of their marriage. And we had mentioned in a prior interview that people are now getting married. I think it was the woman's average age is 28, I believe we had said, and 30 for a guy. So if they had bought the home at the early stages of their marriage, then even before they retire, their home is completely paid off. Well, if they had rented, not only do they not have a free home, but their cost of living has gone up every single year during their marriage while they were renting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when one of the spouses dies, they don't have an asset that they can sell, or they don't have the free asset that they can still live in, and only need a little bit of money to have to manage on the the food and the car and things like that. There's so many times too. I know for myself and my wife, we had often during the times of our marriage, we'd actually used our home and our farm as a bank. We had dipped into the equity when we needed to at different times to buy certain things or to pay off, prepay a child's college or something along those lines. But we had that asset.
Mm-hmm.
And then even though having done that, it took us a little bit longer to pay off the property because we had, like I said, dipped into the equity. We still are able to. So now we have very little real fear as we're going into retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the real value. But we want that hope. We want that ability for the young people out there. And even though older people often are cynical and critical of the younger generation and wonder what's going to happen, just look at the revivals on campus. Look at the mass baptisms that have been happening everywhere. And start paying attention to some of the social media for young Christians. There's an awful lot of solid Christians. Share Healthcare has a lot of solid Christians that are young singles, young couples, young families. And we want to be offering them hope. And that's what we're able to do. It's $149 for a single in Share Healthcare per month, $249 for a couple, $349 for a family of four, and then $50 for each child after that. That gives them hope that, okay, our family budget, our household budget, can actually afford those soaring home prices because we don't have that huge item in our family budget, household budget for health care that's nearly matching the mortgage. It's a fraction of it. $349 versus $2,200 is quite different. And then looking at businesses, that article on Big Lots had highlighted in it a link to another one of the articles. Companies are going bankrupt at the fastest pace since 2020, a historic surge. And that's the headline. Okay, so what can small business owners do? Because small business owners are the main foundation of the United States. We hear about the big ones, the S&P 500, et cetera, but it's the small businesses that are the strength of the United States. And so what can small businesses do? Well, in hiring, one of the biggest things that they'll be able to do is to offer their new employees some sort of provision for health care. Well, they can offer to pay for their members, their employees, a membership in Share Healthcare. Now, the member is the member. Their employee would become the member of Share Healthcare, so they would need to be a Christian, et cetera. But their employer can pay for it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is good for the employer and employee. So for the employer, obviously, it's vastly less expensive to provide this type of health care through Share Healthcare to an employee rather than paying $2,200 a month for their employee's family membership. But for the employee, it's good for them because remember when we had the Affordable Care arguments, the issue was portability of your insurance. Well, when the employee is the member of Share Healthcare, they're the member. And if they choose to leave that job, start their own business, or go off to another one, move to another state, do whatever, become a missionary and go around the world, that membership is still theirs. And there's no dislocation whatsoever. What we're wanting to do is to help people have freedom, financial freedom, which we've mentioned, medical freedom. So if that family is down there in Tallahassee and then decides to go to Ghana and be missionaries, well, their share healthcare goes with them. If they wanted to move to another big missionary area, Seattle, Washington, their membership goes with them. And whatever medical licensed professional they choose to see, that's their network. And that doctor is able to provide them with the care they need, not the care that the insurance company or Obamacare would dictate to them. And there's been a number of state court decisions and a few smaller federal court decisions that have said that the health insurance companies must follow the dictates of Obamacare as it relates to the transgender care, et cetera, that they're saying that you have to do now. Mm-hmm. So since we're out from under both the insurance laws and out from under Obamacare, we don't share in abortifacients. We don't share in abortions. We don't share in transgender destruction. We're just trying to be Christians having a biblical worldview life so that we're not a Christian on Sunday and then we just have to go along with the world the rest of the week. No, we're trying to have integrated into our lives scriptural principles, and that includes sharing with one another. Our life verse, so to speak, for share healthcare is Hebrews 13:16. But do not forget to do good and to share, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. It's just a wonderful verse.
Well, if you're listening today and you are interested in handling your healthcare expenses in a Christian way, Share Healthcare might be just what you need for you and your family. ShareHealthcare.com is the website you can visit to find more information. And then you can also just call and talk to someone at 1-844-SHARE-HC. Kind of our catchphrase today, Mike Sharman, has been control the controllables. And there are some things that they're out of your control. But this paying for your medical expenses is a choice you can make. You might feel like you're locked in, but you're not locked in. You should check out Share Healthcare if that is a good fit for you, sharehealthcare.com. And for Wave 94, I'm Doug Apple.